Welcome to training video number 6 in our series of Network Service Assistant training videos. In this training video, we're going to cover the testing of hybrid powered optical fiber. So the first thing that we might want to understand is what exactly is hybrid powered fiber. A hybrid powered fiber is a fiber optic cable with a copper pair under the same jacket. And as you see in the example here, you've got two strands of fiber and a red and black insulated copper conductor. So that copper pair will provide power to a remote device or to a PoE extender. So that is hybrid powered fiber. I've got a piece of hybrid powered fiber here, and we're going to use that for our testing. So what I've done is I've got a power source at the remote end, and we can see here we've got our two strands of fiber, and then we've got our red and our black copper conductors that we're going to connect to. Now, because NSA does a loopback fiber test, you can see we've got a loopback. I've already connected my fiber. Everything's been inspected and cleaned. I've got my fiber test cords coming out of my NSA, and they're already connected to the fiber right here. And at the remote end of that, I've got a loopback adapter like we see here, and that is providing that loopback for our fiber test. Now I need to connect the electrical part. And as I mentioned, I've got a voltage source already connected to the far end of this piece of fiber. We now need to connect to the copper conductors from the NSA. To do that, we're going to use a jumper. And that jumper is going to have alligator clips on one end, and it's going to have this small electrical connector on the other end. Now, I've already connected one to my test adapter in my NSA, and I'm just going to show you how to connect that here. So there's a small connector on the top of your fiber adapter that will mate with this. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect this to that right there. It just plugs right in, it latches in place, and now we've got that connection made. So I've done that already on the single mode test adapter that's in my NSA. So what we need to do now is take the other end of that little jumper, and we need to connect it to our copper pair on the hybrid powered fiber. So I'm just going to go red to red, just going to connect to that contact there, and I've just got some regular crimp-on style contacts on here. The situation may be different depending on what fiber you're testing and what connector is on that. So I've got another connector right here, just connect to that. So now I'm connected for the electrical part of my test. Now, with Network Service Assistant, we'll be able to measure voltage if we have a voltage source at the far end. If you look at our Test Pro, you'll look at the fiber training video on Test Pro, you'll notice that in the hybrid powered fiber testing there, you can also do what's called a resistance test, which requires a tester at each end. So you can't do that with NSA, but you can do it with the Test Pro. For both NSA and Test Pro, we can do this loopback test like we're doing here, but typically with Test Pro, you're going to be doing a dual-ended fiber test, and you'll do a dual-ended resistance test on the copper pair to make sure it doesn't have excessive resistance. So what we can do with the NSA is confirm that we're actually getting voltage at the endpoint. So we're connected, and we'll be able to run our loss test on our fiber with this loopback loss, and we'll be able to measure the electrical voltage. So you'll notice I connected, but there's no voltage showing yet. So I'm going to turn on my voltage source. And once we turn on the voltage source, we can actually see I've got 56 volts right here. So I know I've got voltage at the endpoint where I'm doing my loss test. So now I'm just going to go in, and again, I've already done my set reference. Everything's been cleaned and connected. All we're going to do is run the auto test. Now, the auto test doesn't take any longer than the regular auto test when we're doing this. And you'll notice not only do we now have the loss information on the fiber, but we also show the fiber power cable voltage. So I'll go ahead and click on my loss tab. I can see my limit, I see my loss, I see my margin. Just like with our other fiber tests, you can see the network limits. But now in this, we also have the fiber power cable voltage, so we know we've got that. And we can save this. And once we save that test, I'm just going to, let's choose a different label. Let's do 005. So once we've saved that, we can always go back and review that. So we can look at that test after the fact in data. And we'll go to that 005 we just saved, and we'll view. And this information will also be on the PDF report that you provide for the customer. It will show that 56.34 volts. And that concludes our short video on hybrid powered fiber testing with the Network Service Assistant. Thanks for your time.